Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Let us read from Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, chapter 17. We'll try to summarize this chapter in the next 1 hour. Let us read the beginning of the chapter as it is. Following in the footsteps of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, we offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is described as follows. He is the only shelter for the forlorn, the most fallen, and he is the only hope for those who are completely devoid of spiritual knowledge. Hare Krishna. So, dear devotees, this is a very important principle that Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Srila Prabhupada are mentioning here. It stresses the importance of humility. Let us think about this for a moment. Here, it is said that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the only shelter for the forlorn, the fallen souls. He is the only hope for those who are completely devoid of spiritual knowledge. So those who are completely down and out, those who are completely lost, for them, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the only shelter. What does this mean? This stresses the importance of humility. If we want to get the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if we want to become followers and devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to consider ourselves forlorn, most fallen, and we have to consider ourselves completely devoid of spiritual knowledge. We have to consider ourselves completely foolish and down and out. If we are not like that, then we will not get Krishna's mercy. We can see in Sri Gaura Leela the example of the greatest devotees who were present on the planet at that time. Srila Rupa Goswami and Sri Sanatan Goswami. In what mood did both of them approach Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? In a mood of complete humility, complete surrender. We are sinful. We are very, very fallen. Please give us mercy. We don't know anything. Srila Sanatan Goswami said, I don't know who I am. I don't know what is the aim of life, but still people glorify me as a Pandit, and my problem is that I believe them. Srila Rupa Goswami also prayed, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. You are most merciful and I am most fallen. All our acharyas, Srila Haridas Thakur also, utter mood of humility. If we have that mood of humility, and if we really believe that we are forlorn, we are fallen, and we don't have any knowledge, we are foolish, then we will become qualified to receive the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If we are proud, then we will not get it. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Dinera adhika daya kare Bhagavan, Pandita kulina dhani bada abhiman. Dinera adhika daya kare Bhagavan. Krishna bestows his special mercy on those who are forlorn, most fallen, and devoid of all spiritual knowledge. Whereas Pandita kulina dhani, those who are Pandit, they think they have a lot of spiritual knowledge. Kuli, those who think they are born in a very high family, aristocratic family. And dhani, those who think they are very rich. Such people, they have bada abhiman, they have a lot of pride, and therefore they cannot get Krishna's mercy. I have seen a practical example, my dear friends, in this regard. I was once associated with a brother and sister when I was living in Mumbai. And I came to Krishna consciousness through youth preaching in the boys' hostel of the medical school that I was studying at. And after taking up the process of Krishna consciousness, I was struggling, but to whatever degree I was able to take it up. And I was trying to practice with all my defects and failings. But I was closely associated with this family. So I was trying to preach to that brother and sister. Both were approximately my age and we were very close. So I was preaching to them. The elder sibling was the brother and the younger sibling was the sister. And from childhood, the elder brother was, like it is the case in most families, the elder child is more mature and well behaved. So the brother, who was the elder sibling, from his childhood, he was always very peaceful, very calm and quiet, very mature, very good in studies, very sincere, very serious, very soft spoken. Everyone in the family, the parents, the grandparents, the uncles, the aunties, the cousins, everyone considered this brother as very wise, as the good boy, the good sibling. And the daughter, she was naughty from childhood, naughty and restless and typical, Bombay kid, wanting to go to movie, cinema halls, restaurants and fashion and this and that. But then, after coming in contact with Srila Prabhupada's message, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message, the sister took up Krishna consciousness seriously. She gave up meat eating, she gave up onion, garlic, tea, coffee, and she started chanting 16 rounds. She became a devotee, she got initiated, and she is very well situated in Krishna consciousness today. But the brother still did not take to Krishna consciousness. Why? I actually asked this question to one of my spiritual superiors at that time, that the brother is the good one. The brother is the one who was always vegetarian. He had attended a summer camp. One Mayavadi philosopher had conducted a summer camp in Mumbai for boys, and he taught the entire Bhagavad Gita in the summer holidays and spoke about many principles like brahmacharya, like importance of being vegetarian, importance of meditating. So this brother, he was very much influenced, and he had a Bhagavad Gita also translated by this Mayavadi philosopher, very famous philosopher. All of you must be knowing him. So he was vegetarian. The sister used to eat meat. The sister never read Bhagavad Gita. This boy had read Bhagavad Gita several times in his life. Even when he would want food, he would tell his mother that, "Mother, this body is feeling hungry. Can you please give some food to this body?" He was like that. He had completely accepted the message of Bhagavad Gita. But unfortunately, he was very proud, because from childhood he was used to being called the good one, the good sibling, the intelligent sibling, the wise sibling, the well-behaved one, the mature one. And he couldn't accept the fact that his little sister could show him the way, or what she's practicing is the right path. He just couldn't accept. So even today, he's not a devotee. So when I was asking my spiritual superior why it is so, why the naughty sister became a devotee and the wise brother did not become a devotee, my spiritual superior told me very clearly, this is the problem with people who think they are in the mode of goodness. Very difficult to preach to them. If someone is eating meat, someone is gambling, someone is intoxicating, someone is breaking the regulative principles, they have a natural humility. Oh, hum to papi hai. I'm very sinful. They have that feeling because they know what they're doing is wrong. So it's easy to uplift them because they have humility. It is easy to uplift them. But if someone thinks that I am in the mode of goodness, then they are very proud. Pandita, kulina dhani bada abhiman. They don't get Krishna's mercy because they don't want it. Both of them heard the same preaching. Both of them had the opportunity. But the naughty sister, because she realized this is the right way, she accepted it and she's a very nice devotee now. And the brother, because of his pride, he couldn't accept. We see the example of the Yajna Patnis and the Yajnik Brahmans also. The wives were pure devotees. But because of their vast learning and their pride, the husbands did not become devotees. Whereas Kalia listened to his wives. Kalia also same situation. He was not a devotee, but his wives were pure devotees, the Nagapatnis. But after hearing the prayers of Nagapatnis, after seeing the example of the Nagapatnis, after being humbled by Krishna, Kalia followed in the footsteps of his wives and became a great devotee. So humility, accepting defeat, accepting that I am finished, I am defeated, that humility is very conducive for spiritual progress, my dear friends. On the other hand, pride is a big obstacle on the path of spiritual progress. That's what we learn from the beginning of this chapter. Let me share the screen again. So we now go to the next paragraph. The supremely powerful Lord Krishna becomes manifest in 5 different features. Although Krishna is one without a second, in order to serve 5 specific spiritual purposes, he becomes manifest in 5 ways. Such diversity is eternal and blissful, in contrast to the conception of monotonous oneness. It's a very important point. So here, Srila Prabhupada is writing that although Krishna is a Supreme Lord and he is asamordhva, as mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is asamordhva. Asama means nobody is sama, nobody is equal to Krishna. And urdhva means superior, nobody is superior to Krishna, which means no one is equal to Krishna, no one is superior to Krishna, which means everyone is subordinate to Krishna. So although Krishna is the Supreme Lord, Ishvara Parama Krishna, and he is one without a second, he is Advitiya, he is one without a second, to serve 5 specific purposes, spiritual purposes, Srila Prabhupada writes, he manifests as the Panchatattva. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita this beautiful Mangalacharan verse, the beginning. So what are these 5 specific spiritual purposes that Lord Krishna in his 5 features as Panchatattva wants to execute? What are the 5 purposes? Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. So Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is original Bhagwan because he is Krishna. Brajendra Nandana Jai Shachi Suta Hoilo Sai. Shachi Sut Gauranga Mahaprabhu is Brajendra Nandanandan Krishna. So supreme original God is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And why did he advent? He basically advented. There are internal and external reasons, 3 internal, 3 external, but primarily Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes there are 2 reasons why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. The main purpose, 2 purposes for Mahaprabhu's advent was, number 1, to give the Yuga Dharma to the fallen people in Kali Yuga, which is taking shelter of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna Sankirtan. And number 2, to relish Radha Bhav, to relish the mood and the love and the divine emotions of Srimati Radharani, which only Srimati Radharani can relish. Krishna developed a transcendental greed to experience the Bhav of Radharani. So to relish Radha Bhav, he came. And to give Gopi Bhav, also he came. So 2 reasons, to relish and to give. So we have to understand that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came for 2 purposes, to relish Madhura Prem and to give Madhura Prem. Now, relisher and giver, relisher and bestower, that is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is the specific spiritual purpose for the advent of Shri Nityananda Prabhu? Shri Nityananda Prabhu is the distributor. Nadiya Godrumme Nityananda Mahajan. Shri Nityananda Prabhu has opened the marketplace of the holy name. And all the Shraddhavan Jan, all the faithful people will get Krishna Prem from Shri Nityananda Prabhu. So Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who is the direct expansion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his first expansion is Balram. Brajendra Nandana Jay Shashi Suta Hoilo say Balaram Hoilo Nitai. Balramji came as Nityananda Prabhu. What is the purpose? He is the distributor of Krishna Prem. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the relisher and the giver. He brings it down in this material world. Golokera Premadhana Harinama Sankirtana. Who brought it? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought. But who is going to distribute it? It is going to happen mainly through Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is the distributor. So he is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's main preacher. All the preaching Shakti, Prachara Shakti comes from Sri Nityananda Ram, who is the Guru Tattva. Second was Nityananda Prabhu, he is the distributor. And what is the specific purpose of Sri Advaita Acharya? The specific purpose of Sri Advaita Acharya is to invite the Lord, invite Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu into this material world. And also, when the Leela is completed, when the purposes have been fulfilled, then praying to the Lord to kindly return to the material, to the spiritual world from this material world. So Sri Advaita Acharya is the inviter, and he also sends off the Supreme Lord at the conclusion of Gaur Leela. That is the specific purpose of Sri Advaita Prabhu. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the relisher, Sri Nityananda Prabhu is the distributor, and Sri Advaita Acharya is the inviter. He sets the scene. He makes everything happen. But all these three personalities, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and Sri Advaita Acharya, are all Vishnu Tattva. They are all Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the original Bhagwan. He is Krishna. He is the source of Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Advaita Acharya also. So that is what is a specific purpose of these three personalities. But there are five personalities. Lord Krishna in five features. Panchatattvatmakam Krishna. Krishna only in five features. Who is the fourth personality? It is Shri Gadadhar Pandit. And who is Shri Gadadhar Pandit? He is the Hladini Shakti of Krishna. He is the internal potency of Krishna. He is Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani came as Shri Gadadhar Pandit. And what was the specific spiritual purpose? It was to teach Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Radha Bhav. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna. And how will he get Radha Bhav? He has the mood of Radharani in his heart. He has stolen the heart of Radharani. But externally also he needs Radharani to teach him how to act so that he will get Radha Bhav. He will get the Madhanakya Mahabhav. And that teacher of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sri Advaita, Sri Gadadhar Pandit. It is Sri Gadadhar Pandit, who is the Hladini Shakti. So he is teaching Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is the evidence? In Jagannath Puri, every day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go and sit, and for 3 hours, Sri Gadadhar Pandit would teach Srimad Bhagavatam to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then whatever verses, whatever nectar he would gain from Sri Gadadhar Pandit at night in Gambhira, along with 2 of his confidential associates, Sri Ramananda Rai and Sri Sarup Damodar Goswami, our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would actually taste, actually relish the sweetness of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because in public he could not do it. Because when Gadadhar Pandit would lecture in public, there would be Maharaj Pratap Rudra sitting there. There would be Sarabhauma Bhattacharya sitting there, Gopinath Acharya, Kashi Mishra, they are all sitting. In front of them, Mahaprabhu cannot go in ecstasy. At the most, he would shed tears of love. So would Gadadhar Pandit. But actually singing out those verses loudly and relishing their deeper meaning and the deeper emotions and experiencing Radha Bhav, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. In the daytime, he learnt in the school of Gadadhar Pandit, and at night, with Radharani's 2 most confidential friends, Lalita and Vishakha Sakhi, he would sit in Gambhira, Sarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai, and he would actually relish what he had heard from Gadadhar Pandit in the daytime. So Gadadhar Pandit is the teacher of Radha Bhav to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Specific purpose. And what is the specific purpose of Shrivas Thakur? Srila Shrivas Thakur represents the Tatastha Shakti, the marginal potency, Jivatma. Srimati Radharani is not a Jivatma. So Shri Gadadhar Pandit is not a Jivatma. He's Ladini Shakti, his internal potency. But we spirit souls, we belong to the marginal potency, Tatastha Shakti. There is Antaranga Shakti, there is Tatastha Shakti, and there is Bahiranga Shakti. जीवेरा स्वरूप है कृष्णेरा नित्यदास, कृष्णेरा तटस्था शक्ति, भेद अभेद प्रकाश. So Srivas Thakur represents the perfect devotee. And how does he represent the perfect devotee? By the qualities of compassion, dedication, and complete shelter. Compassion is daya, karuna. Srivas Thakur manifested the symptom of a pure devotee, of being compassionate. Jibe doya, many times. Jibe doya name ruchi, Vaishnava sevan, ei chhadi dharma nahi suno sanatan. How did Srivas Thakur manifest the quality of a pure devotee, of para dukkha dukhi, jibe doya? There are many examples. Srivas Thakur forgave Gopala Chapala even before Gopal Chapala begged for forgiveness. Srivas Thakur told him, I never took offense, my dear Gopal Chapala. And he begged Mahaprabhu to please forgive Gopal Chapala. Srivas Thakur forgave Devananda Pandit even before Devananda Pandit begged forgiveness. Srivas Thakur never considered it an offense. And he was always praying that Devananda Pandit should become a great devotee, which he became eventually. Srivas Thakur showed so much mercy to the brahmachari who wanted to enter the all-night kirtans in Srivasangan. The brahmachari who was very austere and would only drink milk. He was not getting entrance. But Srivas Thakur prayed. Srivas Thakur tried. He even hid him. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed mercy. So Srivas Thakur was also responsible for Srimati Shachi Devi, the mother of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, getting Krishna Prem. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not give Krishna Prem to her for a slight offense to Sri Advaita Acharya. But it was Srivas Thakur who saved Srimati Shachi Devi, Ai. Srivas Thakur saved Ai. How? He was the one who begged Mahaprabhu during Mahaprakash Lila, please shower your mercy, give your mercy to your Janani, to your mother, Srimati Shachi Mata, give her mercy, please. And then Mahaprabhu said, I will not give, and the only way I will give is if she takes the dust from the lotus feet of Sri Advaita Prabhu, which Shachi Mata did. And in that way, Shachi Mata was saved by the mercy of Sri Advaita Acharya, by the mercy of Srivas Thakur. He is Narada Muni. And Narada Muni is a transcendental instigator. Because our Acharya's question that why did Srivas Thakur have the audacity to request Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give mercy and to give Krishna Prem to Shachi Mata? Shachi Mata is that great devotee who held Nimai in her womb for 10 months. So what is the doubt that she has Krishna Prem? She is Yashoda. She is the origin of all Vatsalya Prem. So how come she doesn't have Krishna Prem? Of course she has Krishna Prem. But Srivas Thakur is the transcendental instigator. He is transcendentally naughty. To manifest Krishna's Leela, Krishna's pastimes, Narad Muni plays so many tricks. He will come and tell Kansa that 8th child could be any child. It could be the first child, just like our fingers. Which is the first finger? Petals of a lotus. Which is the first petal? You can count them, but the first petal could be the 8th petal. So 8th child doesn't mean anything. So please treat every child as potential Krishna. So then he imprisoned Devaki and Vasudeva so that the advent of Krishna could be hastened. Krishna Lila could hasten. So this is Narad Muni. He is a transcendental trickster. Always goes and facilitates Krishna Lila. So Srivas Thakur is the perfect devotee through compassion, dedication, such dedication to Nam Sankirtan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give Prem Nam, and this Prem Nam Sankirtan was going on in Srivas Thakur's courtyard, in Srivas Angan, and Srivas Thakur's only son passed away, died that night. And Srivas Thakur was so dedicated that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstasy should not be disturbed by our mourning. He told his family members, he told his wife, Sri Malini Devi, not to cry, not to lament, be quiet, don't disturb. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the source of this whole universe, the original personality of Godhead, is dancing in great spiritual ecstasy in our courtyard. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, they are happening every moment in this material world. We have to take birth, die, get old, disease. So for something that is inevitable, why should we disturb the rare once in a day of Brahma, Gaura Leela, that happens once in a day of Brahma? Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi takes place hundreds and thousands of times on this planet every single day. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dancing happens only once in millions and millions of years. So don't disturb. This was the attitude of Srivas Thakur, dedication and Sharanagati. Goptritve Varana. Krishna is my maintainer. He would not waste time working in the material world. No mundane job. He didn't have any specific means of livelihood. Krishna provided everything. He claps. And he had such faith, such surrender, such Sharanagati that Krishna, if my family goes hungry, I have so much confidence in you that I will tie a rock around my neck and jump in the Ganga and drown myself. It cannot happen. Krishna will definitely provide. Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam. Because he is Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. He is Ananya Bhakta. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. Ye jana paryupasate. Tesham nityabhyuktanam. Yoga Kshemam Vaham Aham. Krishna himself will carry what is required. He had such Sharanagati, such faith. That is pure devotee. This is the specific purpose of Srivas Thakur's appearance. He came to teach this. Let's read on. Now we'll go down. See, I have to summarize the whole chapter and it is very difficult to, even if I read the whole chapter, it would take 1 hour, just quick reading. So I'm going to take the key points. In the Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad, it is stated, I think this refers to Nityo Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam, that the Supreme Lord is the supreme living entity amongst all living entities. Chetanas Chetananam, the supreme living entity among all living entities. There are innumerable living entities, but there is one living entity who is a supreme absolute Godhead. And who is that? That is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are many living entities. Even God is a living entity. But he is a supreme living entity. He is Vibhu, we are Anu. The difference between the singular living entity, that is Krishna, and the plural living entities, that is all of us, is that the singular living entity, Krishna or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is the Lord of all. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that supreme living entity, and he descended, his avatari, he descended to reclaim the innumerable fallen living entities. So what does this teach us? The purpose of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent. He wants to save and uplift all of us, the fallen souls. But who will not get the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Those who want to not get drenched in the shower of mercy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a shower of mercy. बरस रहे हैं, भगवान की कृपा बरस रही है. Krishna is showering his mercy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showering his mercy upon us. Samsara dava nalalidha loka tranaya karunya ghana ghanatvam praptasya kalyana. We are being showered, ghana ghanatvam. We are being showered by the rain-filled cloud of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Guru Parampara. And where is the Parampara getting all the water? It is from He Krishna Karuna Sindhu, from the ocean That is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the ocean of mercy. He is filling up these rain clouds of Guru Tattva and sending our way. Because we are far away from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are far away from the ocean and we are burning in the forest fire. Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadava Agni Nirvapanam. Davagni Nirvapanam. We are in a forest fire, but that forest fire will be Nirvapanam, will be extinguished by the rain of mercy. But if we decide that I am not going to get drenched in this shower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, and we hide ourselves in our homes, we shut the doors and windows, and we sit with an umbrella, I will not get drenched. Then who can save us? Then who can save us? That is what is being taught here. That Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descended to reclaim innumerable fallen living entities. He came to reclaim, but we should be willing to be delivered. All we have to do is just accept. He's giving. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jibe Doya Kori Swaparshada Shviya Dhama Sahai Avatari Atyanta Durlabha Prema Kori Bare Dan Shikhaye Sharanagati Bhakatera Pran. Bhakatera Pran, this Sharanagati is the life and soul of devotees. And this Atyanta Durlabha Prem, very, very most rare love of Godhead, Krishna Prem, Kori Bare Dan. He's giving it. All we have to do is give, just receive. It is being given. Just with faith, we have to receive it. It's not difficult. But if we decide, I am going to hide from the rain shower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we cannot get mercy. That is the meaning of what Srila Prabhupada is writing in this paragraph. And the example is, Srila Prabhupada gives the Mayavadi sannyasis of Varanasi, specifically Prakashananda Saraswati and his followers. They did not want to receive the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They were criticizing Mahaprabhu, calling him Bhavuk Sannyasi. He is Bhavuk. He is Bhavuk. He is transcendently Bhavuk. But they were saying it in a demeaning, in a critical way. And therefore they did not get the mercy. And this chapter ends on a sorrowful note. This chapter that we are reading, it ends, chapter 17 ends on a very sorrowful note, where Srila Prabhupada writes that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not give the mercy to these people because they did not want it. They would not receive it. They wouldn't take it. So finally Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just tolerated their criticisms and left for Shri Vrindavan Dham. But ultimately these devotees, these Mayavadis, Prakashananda Saraswati and others, they did get the mercy. And how did they get the mercy? By the fifth tattva of Pancha Tattva. The fifth tattva is Bhakta, the Shuddha Bhakta, the potency represented by Shrivas Thakur. More mana prabhu asa vishwasa ramate adhik ram kardasa. The devotee of Krishna, Goswami Tulsidas ji writes in Ramcharitmanas, the devotee of Krishna is more merciful than Krishna. That's why more man prabhu asa vishwasa ramate adhik ram kardasa. I have got this firm faith that greater than Ram, greater than Ram is Ram's devotee. Greater than Ram is Ramdas. Because in the presence of Ram, Sita was kidnapped. But in the presence of Hanuman, Sita was reunited with Ram. In the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I am not blaming our darling Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but I am just glorifying the devotees for the pleasure of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself could not give mercy to Prakashananda Saraswati, but Prakashananda Saraswati got mercy through the potency of the devotee, the Shrivas Thakur's representative. And in Varanasi, who was that representative of Shrivas Thakur? The Maharashtrian Brahman. The Maharashtrian Brahman arranged the meeting. He invited all the Mayavadis, headed by Prakashananda Saraswati. And he requested Mahaprabhu, please come. And because the devotee was requesting, Mahaprabhu did not refuse. Although he was criticized by them previously. Mahaprabhu went and they got mercy. So we can get the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu no matter how offensive we are, no matter how sinful we are, if a devotee casts his or her merciful glance upon us. The power of devotee association is tremendous. That is what we learn from the example of the Maharashtrian Brahmin. Let us read on, my dear friends. Verse now, we'll go to the next paragraph. In the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna's last instruction is that everyone should give up all other engagements and render devotional service unto him. But, so what is this verse? Anybody can tell? Krishna's last instruction is that everyone should give up everything and surrender to him and render service unto him. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Manmana bhavamad bhakto, render devotional service. But after Krishna's disappearance, what happened? Less intelligent people misunderstood Krishna. They became contaminated by what? They became contaminated with the Mayavad philosophy, which produced so many mental speculators that people forgot the actual position of the absolute truth and the actual position of the living entity. Ami tomar nityadas, tai kari eta ash, toma bina anya gati nahi. Srila Prabhupada writes in his Jaladuta diary. But we forgot this, that Ami tomar nityadas, toma bina anya gati nahi. We forgot all this because of the contamination of Mayavad philosophy. Therefore, Lord Shri Krishna himself, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, again appeared in order to teach the fallen souls of this material world the way to approach Lord Krishna. So what is Srila Prabhupada trying to tell us here? Again, Srila Prabhupada is giving historical account what happened after Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita and went back. Krishna Swadham Upagate. When Krishna went back to his original spiritual abode, yes, we were left behind with Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, but the Mayavadis, they misinterpreted the holy scriptures. Krishna said, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. You are my devotees, you are my servants, you are my parts and parcels. Mamay amsha jiva loka jiva bhuta sanatana. Mataha parataram na anyat kinchid asti dhananjaya mai sarvamitam protam sutre manigana iva. I am the thread that supports and holds everything. Brahmano hi pratishtaham. I am even the pratishtha, I am even the support of the Brahma Jyoti. Krishna is the source and support of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mataha sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajate mam buddha bhava samanvita. But nobody was worshipping Krishna. Why? Because they were contaminated by the Mayavad philosophy. Krishna says, surrender to me. And these Mayavadis misinterpreted by saying that, no, not necessary to surrender to Krishna. You can surrender to that divine who is speaking through Krishna. And that divine is everywhere. That divine is undivided. That divine is within you also. So you are God. So might as well surrender to yourself. Like that, they gave misinterpretation. I remember very clearly. I was 18 years old and I went to medical school and the devotees were preaching to me. They were asking me to chant Hare Krishna and I started chanting 2 rounds. And there was a boy in my class. He was a Jain. He was very peaceful, quiet, well-behaved, studious, did not have any bad habits, did not even eat onion garlic. Materially very, very good boy. One evening he came to me and I was very depressed because, medical school is initially it at least seems very difficult because high school is still okay, then college is still okay, and then medical school suddenly it becomes very tough. Especially for me, it was very tough and my grades were not very good. So I was a little sad. I had got very poor grades in some exams. In the first exam that I took after joining medical school, the first unit test I got very poor grades. And I was sad. And this boy, my friend, he came to me. And he said that, why are you sad? He held my shoulders. Why are you sad? Do you know how good you are? And I looked at him. We were all new in the boys' hostel, away from family. First time we had left family. We were eating food in the canteen. It was really tough. I had never lived away from my parents. It was really tough. And someone telling me that you are so good, it felt like a soothing balm to my aching heart. I looked at him. I felt so good that I was being glorified and appreciated and praised. He said, Abhay, you are such a good person. Do you know? In fact, there is no one as good as you. Now I thought this was a little too much, but it felt good because I was being comforted. I was being appreciated. It really felt very good. I remember I was feeling so joyful when he was glorifying me. He said, you are very special. Please understand. And then he said, actually, I am also very special. Actually, we are all very special. We are all God. It's just that we have forgotten it. We have to give up everything material and meditate that I am God, and one day we will realize it and we'll become God. And I have seen sannyasis who have become like that. He told me, you think this ISKCON Krishna consciousness, what they are teaching is very old? We have got Jain scriptures that are older than your Bhagavad Gita. And they teach us that actually we are God. Please believe, Abhay, you are very good. And he embraced me. We will study together. We'll go to the library together. Don't worry. Actually, you are God. There is nothing you cannot do. And there is nothing I cannot do. He told me like that. And it felt really good when it said that. This philosophy, for an egoistic person, it feels really good, my dear friends. Please think about this a little bit. We chant our Shikshashtakam prayers every day. I was hearing one lecture of my revered Guru Maharaj. And he said something that I had never thought about. Every day we chant this Shikshashtakam prayers before we begin our japa, but I had never thought of it like this. Please give me your careful audience. Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj was saying, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, mama janmani janmani shware bhavatat bhakti rahetu kitoi. Maharaj said, think about this verse a little bit. Verse number 4 of Sri Chaitanya Shikshashtakam. Mahaprabhu is teaching us, na dhanam, no wealth. Because we can become very proud of our wealth. It feels good to be rich and successful. How nice we feel when we talk to people from our school that we have lost touch, and then we meet after a long time and we discuss, oh, what you're doing? What, you're a doctor in America? Yeah. Oh, you're not in an apartment, you have your own house. Oh, wow. We'd like to tell how successful we are. I've got a car, now I have got a green card, I'm a citizen. Even on Facebook, that's all it is. Showing how successful we are. Nobody is going to put on Facebook that I had a fall down today. I could not finish my 16 rounds today. Please help. My japa was very inattentive today. Will anybody put that status update? No. On social media, we want to show how successful we are. How we have got everything figured out. How we are in control. How we are the enjoyers. I went here. Adi Gadhar Das is checking into such and such place, restaurant or airport, to show everyone, I am an enjoyer. Look at me. Have you been to this restaurant? No, I have been. I have been served food, gourmet food in that restaurant. I enjoyed. That's what we want to show. Finished a triathlon, finished a marathon race. We are putting it out to show how successful we are. Because money and other things make us look successful. Money is honey, my dear Sunny. The rich man's joke is always funny. Yeah. One person was telling me that he won a lottery ticket. And so they would have, he was doing a 9-to-5 job in office, middle class, lower middle to middle class, entry-level job in the engineering market. And suddenly he got a lottery. We don't buy lottery tickets. We don't buy lottery tickets. We have already won the lottery because we have got the shelter of the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. The biggest jackpot lottery all of us have already won. We don't need the nonsensical temporary lotteries of this world. But this fellow, he got lakhs of rupees in the lottery. So he was bragging that, now I don't have to work. I'm going to go and just give my resignation letter to my boss. I'm not going to work there for peanuts. I've done that enough. Now I got lottery. So I told him, now everyone knows in your office you won the lottery. What is the change you are noticing? He said, oh, everybody is so polite to me because we have a lunch room where in the lunch break we all go and eat our lunch, and there are less chairs and more employees. So every time I would go, there would be shortage of chairs. But he told me, since I have won the lottery and everybody knows I won the lottery, there is never a shortage of chairs for me. He told me that. Yes, money is honey, my dear Sunny. The rich man's joke is always funny. If we have money, people will respect us. Why do people respect all these big Mr. Musk and Zuckerberg and all others, big Google CEOs? And why do people respect? Because they have money. You take away the money and nobody will even look at them twice. Seriously, it's a fact. So Mahaprabhu says, na dhanam. That's a big loss for the false ego. Now I will not be glorified because of money. Na dhanam, na janam. It feels so nice. There are 43 devotees listening to the beautiful nectarian words flowing out of my lotus mouth. They have left everything and they're listening to me. Yes, it is such a massage for our false ego. It is so nourishing and comforting to the false ego. Yes, I'm popular. Yes, people are following me. People are following me on Facebook. People are following me on Instagram, on Twitter and whatnot, Snapchat and TikTok, all those things. People are following. It feels good to have followers. People are following. But Mahaprabhu says, na janam. No followers. I don't want followers. Another big assault on the false ego. Na dhanam, na janam, and na sundarim. It is such a act of prestige to show that we have got a partner who is very handsome or very beautiful or very successful. We like to flaunt. People like to flaunt their partners. People fight over partners. There are acid attacks for a partner in life. So many things are going on because people feel very proud that I have got someone beautiful who I am enjoying. That is what it is all about. Why do we want to look good? Why do we want our spouse to look good? So everyone understands. Please, I'm putting it out very bluntly. But there is no need to cover up these things and sugarcoat these things. This is the hardcore reality of life. Why do we like to have a good-looking spouse? Because we want to show the world, I am the enjoyer of this person. Yes, you see this beauty? I am the sole enjoyer. That's why when there is an extramarital affair, there is a fight. And it is a valid reason for divorce. My dear friends, there are two valid reasons for divorce in this world. One is extramarital affair, and number two, impotence. If you cannot satisfy me, my senses, it is a ground for divorce. If someone can medically prove that the partner is impotent, it's a valid ground for divorce. Nothing else is required. You can divorce. Just see. So what are we telling this world? That the purpose of getting married is sense gratification. There is nothing else to marriage. But Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us, Guru na sasyat, swajana na sasyat, Pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, deva na sasyat, na pati na sasyat, na mokshayetyo samupeta mrutyum. You cannot become a pati, you cannot become a husband unless you can deliver them from the repeated cycle of birth and death. But no, in the material world, the purpose of getting married is sense enjoyment. Sense enjoyment. My birthday is coming. I want to put my photo on Facebook. I need to lose 5 pounds or 10 pounds before my birthday. I want to look good. So this is a very sick mentality, and we should sit and search our heart and analyze. What are we after? Even in kirtans, even in temples, I have seen people, decking up so much, wearing such fancy bagalbandis and kurtas and so many things. Why? Because they want attraction. They want to attract the attention of everyone. No, we come to the temple to feel attracted to the holy name and to Radha Krishna who are on the altar. Srila Prabhupada is sitting in the drab saffron rose of a sannyasi in the temple hall, and we want to go decked up with expensive glittery clothes and jewelry. We cannot get Krishna with this attitude. We have to become simple in life. We have to become lovers of Krishna. Na sundarim. I don't want to enjoy the beauty of the opposite sex or same sex. Na dhanam. So this is another blow to the false ego, because in the material world, the greatest happiness is sense gratification. And within sense gratification, you know what? The coming together of two people. That is considered to be the greatest sense gratification, greatest happiness in this material world. And Mahaprabhu says, no. Na sundarim. All right. So na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. I don't want wealth, I don't want followers, and I don't want to enjoy the beauty of the opposite sex. All right. At least can I be known as a very intelligent person who doesn't want all these things? A very renounced person, very cultured person, very educated person who doesn't want all these things. Can I be known like that? Like a famous devotee? Kavitam va jagadisha kamaya. Kavitam va jagadisha kamaya. No, it is not my kamana. Hey Jagadish, hey Krishna, it is not my kamana, it is not my desire to be known as a kavi, as a very learned person, very expert person. No, this person is very expert. No, that's I don't want that distinction. This is the third assault on the false ego. All right, so you want me to enjoy nothing, basically, in this material world. Let me get liberated then. Let me get liberated. I don't want to be in this material world. Why should I stay in the material world if na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam, va jagadisha kamaya? I might as well just get liberated. I want liberation. No, that also not. Mama janmani, janmanishware. I'm willing to take repeated births in this material world. I don't even want moksha. I don't even want liberation. Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj was saying, this is such an assault, a 5-pronged assault on the false ego by Panchatattva. Our Panchatattva, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is putting a 5-pronged assault. Not Trishul, but Panchashul. 5-pronged attack on our false ego. And false ego is the root cause of why we are in this material world. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. Kavitam va jagadisha kamaya, mama janmani janmanishwar. Okay. So what should I do then? What is there left now? No liberation, no wealth, no beauty, no followers, no fame and distinction of being very intelligent. What is there in this world? What should I do with my life? These are the 5 things we pursue. What should I do? Mahaprabhu answers, Mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhaktir ahaytukitvai. Ahaytuki bhakti. Pure devotion, without expecting anything. Maro bhi rakho bhi jo ichha tohar nitya dasa tua prati adhikar. Nitya dasa prati tua adhikar. You have the adhikar, you are the controller, you are my adhikari, you are my authority, you are my controller, Krishna. You can do whatever you want. Manasa deha geha jo kichu mor arapilu tua pade nanda kishor. So this is called ahetuki bhakti. You just serve Krishna without expecting anything. All right, hold on. So the 5 things that are very precious, you are saying no, no, no. You are forbidding those 5 things. You are taking them away from me. This is such a assault on the false ego. So what about the false ego? You have ruthlessly attacked my false ego, Mahaprabhu. So now what is the solution? Mahaprabhu says, I will make your true ego rise. I have taken away your false ego. I have destroyed your false ego. I have assaulted and killed your false ego. My dear child, my dear devotee, now I will give you the true ego. Because we cannot be egoless. Either we have true ego or we have false ego. Right now in the conditioned state, we have false ego, that I am enjoyer. Karta aham iti manyate. So we have got this ahankar, that I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. There is a false ego. And Mahaprabhu is destroying that false ego. But please give us a higher taste. Yes, Mahaprabhu, I will give you higher taste. Param Drisvani, I will give you higher taste. What is the higher taste? True ego. I will give you true ego. What is my true ego? 5th verse. That's where the 5th verse comes into the picture. Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj says the 5th verse. What is true ego? Ainanda tanuja kinkaram. Hey Nanda Tanuja. Hey Nanda Nandan Krishna. Hey Sham Sundar. Who am I? What is my true ego? Kinkara. I am your servant. How may I serve you? Kinkara. What should I do for you? How may I serve you? That is true ego. So this is very beautiful, my dear friends. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy is profound. We need to contemplate. I have lots more notes, but we have run out of time. So I will stop here.